Councilman?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. Hello, Liz.
Hello.
I was just saying that it was my internet connection took a long time to make it, so there might be some delays with Director Single and Director Riley. But we have a minute.
I know Greg's here. I heard him. There he is.
But the mayor said his name and there's his picture.
Right on cue. How about that?
Really? Well done.
Yeah, there's a smiling face. Hello, Greg. He must be muted.
No, he's not muted.
Hello.
Hi.
Director, how are you?
Hi, everybody. Hello, Bridget. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Tim and Greg?
Yeah.
Greg, can you hear us?
He's not on mute. I don't know why he can't hear you. Maybe his
Maybe not.
computer's on mute.
No, he's on mute. It looks like he's on mute.
No,
Well,
I think
I clicked it to mute it, and now I'm just going to ask him to unmute it. It kind of gives him a ding to unmute it. So
Greg, can you hear us? Greg, can you hear us?
turn your volume up, maybe.
Maybe he can call
I'm getting
in.
no sound. I don't.
Mm.
Oh, you can hear me, but I can't hear you
Yeah.
guys though. That's the thing. I'm not hearing you guys. Hold on.
We can hear you.
Okay.
All right, good now.
Okay, good. Zoom issues, huh?
Always something.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the City of Fairview Park Board of Control at 6:31. Director Costello, if you could please take the roll.
Director Riley,
Here.
Okay.
Councilmember
come on.
Minnick,
Here.
Director Single,
Here,
Mayor Cooney,
Here.
Mary Kay Costello, I'm here as well.
Okay, thank you. The minutes from our meeting of February 15, 2021 were distributed with this agenda and council's agenda. If there's any changes, amendments, I would entertain those now. If not, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Minnick. Is there a second?
second,
Thank you, Director Single. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to our agenda. Director Costello, if you could please address that for us. Thank you.
Thank you. As you might recall, we discussed on February 15th in the minutes, the custom truck one source lease of the rental truck that for tree work for our service garage. And I had, in anticipation of the bill, asked for additional funding for this rental lease. And once the billing did come through the finance department, there were some corrections that we needed to make. So we had additional fees for extra rental time that went longer than I had reported into 3 weeks. And there were environmental fees that I did not add into the total. And so to correct the total payment for last year's lease, the total approved should be $13,121.62.
What are environmental fees?
I think those are the fees that they have to pay to operate their hydraulics and their services on these rentals. You know, as we turn it in, they have to overhaul this equipment, and they pass on, you know, all the extras that they have to do to store that equipment and make sure that it's not spilled. They have to offload the used equipment or the used product. And so those create extra costs that they pass along to us.
It's quite a difference in price from 8,000 to 13,000.
That is true. I missed that. I missed an extra week as well, Councilman Minnick. So that was on me.
Thank you.
But I did contact them to see if we can forego some of those environmental fees on our next round. So we'll see what they can do for us coming up on our next foray into leasing truck equipment. So I'll keep you in the loop.
Are they willing to sell the truck to us?
We're going to ask for a lease to own agreement to compare with our just outright lease. So that's a good question. We'll see what they can come up with for us.
Thank you.
Any other questions? There being none, I would take a motion to approve this item as submitted and explained by the director.
So made.
Thank you, Director Single. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Riley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Items approved. Next item is Atlantic Emergency Solutions relating to the purchase of some new firefighter boots. Director?
These are boots for 21 firefighter and personnel in the fire department. And these are for the members that are replaced every 10 years. The most recent hires, of course, do not have their boots replaced, but this is a matter of practice to keep the fire personnel safe. The total purchase is $8,715.
Any questions about this item? Okay, I would take a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Councilman Minnick, is there a second?
Second.
Director Single? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, is there any other further business for the board? If not, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second. Okay, sorry to keep Councilman Minnick out of that. I think we might have ruined his streak. There's always another one to start. So that was Director Single, Director Riley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned at 6:37. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill.
Mike, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing fine, Mike, thank you.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Bill.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Good evening,
Mayor.
everybody.
Hey, Mayor Kay.
Happy Monday.
Mary Kay, once again, I'm giving your son an incredible shout out. He stole the show at the retreat yesterday.
Thank you very much.
He is an amazing young man, just amazing.
I appreciate that. It was a great opportunity for kids to get together. It's been
It was, it really was. They rose to they pushed for it and we made it happen and it was wonderful.
he said he felt very safe. It was well done. So thank
It
you.
was well done. Yeah. The kids were great and he was our closing prayer man and he's, like I said, he stole the show.
Oh, thank you so much.
We were the warm-up act. He was the headliner when it was all over.
Thank you.
Sure. You should be very proud.
Okay, Sarah and Bridget, you
Yes.
both have committee reports tonight?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And, Bill and Bridget, you're all set on your legislation for first reading.
Yes.
Yes,
Sarah and Bridget, set on your legislation for second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and Bill and Bridget for legislation for third reading, and final passage.
Yes.
Everyone's all set. All right, very good. Brian, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Nope, not tonight.
All right, thanks. Bill,
nothing, Mike.
Maureen,
Just a general inquiry while the administration is here. I got an email from a woman, Mary Murray. She and her husband, Jim, they deliver Meals on Wheels. And she said last week they were delivering it to an apartment on Lorraine next to McDonald's. And the addresses, and I guess, were so worn, they had a very difficult time finding the resident that they were taking the meal to. Eventually they did, but she said, would the building department or police or anyone look into that? Because she was concerned if ever there were an emergency of any kind, these addresses they're just, as she described it, worn out that you can't see them. I don't know who would handle something like that.
Building division,
Building? Okay.
I'll make sure they get word.
Yeah, in general, she said the apartments next to the McDonald's on Lorraine.
I know
And
exactly.
So thank you.
No problem.
Okay. That's all. Thank you, Mike.
thanks, Maureen. Sarah,
I don't have anything this evening.
thanks. Bridget,
Yes, Mike, I was wondering if you could assign to committee the council chair council chamber updating for AV and security.
topic of it, yep, sure can.
Thank you.
This evening I'll assign the topic of AV and security updates, council chambers to the finance committee.
Thank you.
Thanks. Greg,
Nothing, thank you.
Liz, do you have anything?
No, well, just one thing, the normal thing, if you haven't filed, March 21st is your due date. That's all I have right now.
Thanks so much for the reminder as usual, Liz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more thing. I know you mentioned it, Mike. I don't remember what meeting it was, but the garden club, if anyone is interested in,
Raffle.
they're having a fundraiser. I'll recirculate that flyer so everybody has it again to look at it.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Mayor, directors, did you have anything?
Yes, thank you. I assume people have been following the American Rescue Plan and the stimulus money that has been considered. We have, we've been following it here on our end. similar to the Corona, the CARES Act funds. There's a lot of questions as to how it can be used, and I've been on a few calls about it, and the CARES Act, there was, when we initially were told about those funds, so they were very restrictive, and things changed dramatically over the course of really less than 6 months. So we're going to continue to monitor this legislation. It's my understanding that the U.S. Treasury is going to be issuing some regulations with respect to these funds here in the next 30 to 60 days. And, hopefully we'll have a better idea what we can do. And we'll share that with you as we learn more about it.
For that update, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll begin the regular meeting of council in 9 minutes.
bless you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. The regular meeting of the council of the city of Fairview Park for Monday, March 15th, 2021 is now called to order. Have a moment of silent reflection. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Simmerly,
Here.
Mr. Minnick,
Here.
Mrs. Adler,
Here,
Mr. Kilbane,
Here.
Mrs. Waring,
Here.
Mrs. King,
Here.
Mr. Berger.
Here.
Now have this evening's committee reports, local government and community services, Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you, Council President. The Local Government and Community Services Committee met via teleconference on March 8th, beginning at 6:32 p.m. Present were members of Council, Mayor Cooney, and candidates for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. The committee discussed Ordinance 2113, which allows the administration to enter into an agreement with the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court in connection with the Community Diversion Program to address juvenile misdemeanor and status offenders in the city of Fairview Park. This ordinance extends the city's participation in this program. Assistant Prosecutor John Castell will serve as the program's contact for the city in a volunteer capacity. The chair recommended an amendment which would strike the clause establishing a community diversion program fund as a special revenue fund from the legislation, as the fund has already been established. A motion to put the legislation on second, subsequent third reading passed with a vote of 7-0. The committee also discussed the issue of the city's response to systemic racism under the focus of interviewing candidates for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. A motion to leave the issue of the city's response to systemic racism in committee passed with a vote of 7-0. Local government and community services ended at 8:21 p.m. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Waring. Okay, we'll now have the Finance Committee report. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met via video conference on Monday, March 8th, 2021 at 8:21 p.m. In attendance were members of Council, Mayor Cooney, Director Costello, Director Singal, Director Maynard, Director Riley, Director Rondos, and members of the community. Ordinance 2112, the 2021 appropriations. The final budget hearings for senior life and the building department were presented. Once completed, a motion was made for this ordinance to be on third read and final passage, and that passed with a vote of 7-0. Ordinance 2111, authorizing repairs for the 2008 sewer jet vehicle. This ordinance was discussed in the prior committee meeting and remained in committee until the final inspection and total amount of repairs could be provided. Director Costello discussed the repairs needed and said that since this is a 13-year-old piece of equipment, she will be looking forward to replacing this in the next few years. A motion was made to move this ordinance to third read and final passage, and that passed with a vote of 7-0. Ordinance 2114, repeal and replace the Hvac maintenance and service agreement. Director Costello discussed the process of interviewing the companies, and since this process took longer than anticipated, this updated service agreement is up for a vote. A motion was made for this to be put on second and subsequent third reading, and it passed with a vote of 7-0. Resolution 2101, the ODOT winter 2021-2022 contract for road salt. Director Singal informed council that the cost for the salt will come from Fund 811 and 220. Director Costello explained that this contract is something we enter into every year, and it helps us receive the best prices on road salt. A motion was made to place this ordinance on second and subsequent third read, and it passed with a vote of 7-0. The Finance Committee concluded at 9:08 p.m. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman King. Okay. We'll begin the legislative agenda for this evening with legislation, the first reading. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place one ordinance up for first read.
Would the clerk please assign the number and read the title?
Ordinance 2117, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing McKay Engineering and Surveying Company to prepare plans and specifications and provide an construction administration and bidding services for water main replacements and pavement resurfacing on Cromwell Avenue, Parkwood Avenue, and Bain Park Drive, and repealing and replacing Ordinance 2049 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ordinance 2117 is placed on first reading and assigned to the Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place 3 ordinances up for first reading tonight.
Okay, would the clerk please assign numbers and read the titles?
Ordinance 2118, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development to request and accept proposals for the design, specifications, purchase, and delivery of materials for a restroom at Bain Park, and the mayor to enter into an agreement for said services and materials as determined by the Board of Control, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2018, requested by Mayor Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Waring and Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the city of North Olmsted to provide jail services by the city of North Olmsted for the city of Fairview Park and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2120, requested by Mayor Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Waring and Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the city of North Olmsted to provide dispatch services by the city of North Olmsted for the city of Fairview Park and declaring an emergency.
All right, thank you. Ordinances 2118, 2119, and 2120 were all placed on first reading and assigned to the Finance Committee. Okay, we'll now have legislation for second reading. Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2113 up for second reading.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2113, requested by Mayor Patrick J. Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman Waring. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court in connection with the Community Diversion Program to address juvenile misdemeanor and status offenders in the city of Fairview Park as a special, in declaring an emergency.
Okay, ordinance 2113.
I'm sorry, let me read that intro again because that amendment has not been made. So I'm just going to start over. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court in connection with the Community Diversion Program to address juvenile misdemeanor and status offenders in the city of Fairview Park, establishing a Community Diversion Program fund as a special revenue fund, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Okay, ordinance 2113 is placed on second and subsequent third reading. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place ordinance 2114 and resolution 2101 up for second reading tonight.
Okay, will the clerk please read the titles?
Ordinance 2114, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development to solicit requests for proposal, RFPs, and the mayor to enter into a contract with the most qualified vendor for HVAC services and maintenance as approved by the Board of Control, and repealing and replacing Ordinance 2022 amended and declaring an emergency. Resolution 2101, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. A resolution authorizing participation in the 2021 ODOT winter contract for road salt and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ordinance 2114 and resolution 2101, both placed on second reading, second and subsequent third reading.
Thank you.
Okay, it's now time for audience input on legislation that is up for passage this evening. Clerk Westbrooks, has council been contacted by anyone wishing to comment or question anything that's up for passage this evening?
No, I have received nothing for comment.
Thank you. Okay, we will now have legislation for third and final passage. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2110 up for third reading and final passage.
Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 2110, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King and Councilwoman Waring. An ordinance authorizing McKay Engineering and Surveying Company to prepare plans and specifications and provide bidding services for the reconstruction of the West 227th Street Bridge over Coe Creek and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Prior to call for roll passage of ordinance 2110, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2110?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2110 passes. Okay, Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place ordinance 2111 up for third read and final passage.
Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 2111, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing emergency repairs and related costs regarding the City of Fairview Park sewer jet vehicle and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2111, is there any discussion?
Council President,
Councilwoman King.
I would like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2111 to make the grammar changes in the fourth whereas clause as agreed to in committee.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion to amend?
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Motion carries. Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2111 amended, is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2111 amended?
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Ordinance 2111 amended passes. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place ordinance 2112 up for third reading and final passage.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2112, originated by Greg Single, Finance Director, requested by Mayor Patrick Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance appropriating funds for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Fairview Park, Ohio, for the period commencing January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Prior to call for roll for passage of ordinance 2112, is there any discussion?
Council President,
Councilwoman King.
I would like to make a motion to amend ordinance 2112 to correct the year to 2021 in the introduction and to replace the amended Exhibit A with changes agreed to in committee.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, the clerk please call roll on the motion to amend.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Motion carries. The ordinance is amended. Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2112 amended, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2112 amended.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2112 amended passes. That will conclude our legislative agenda for this evening. We'll now have reports and communications from the mayor and his directors. Mayor Cooney, if you're ready.
Thank you, Council President Kilbane. Good evening, everybody. Just want to let people know that the Fairview Park Fire Department will have an entrance exam on April 12th. Applications can be picked up at the Fairview Park Police Department between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Additional information about the exam can be found on the Fairview Park website. The deadline to submit these applications is Friday, April 2nd at 4 p.m. With respect to the police department, I believe Chief Shepard shared with council a voicemail that he had received over the weekend from a gentleman who had been involved in an accident, an elderly gentleman who had been involved in an accident. Field Training Officer Zach Sanford and our new patrolman Zach Kugler were on that call. They're affectionately known as the Zach Attack, and they really did a nice job in calming down this elderly gentleman. And even though he was cited for an accident that he caused, he was very complimentary of how they conducted themselves. Later that shift, while they were on routine patrol, Patrolman Sanford and Patrolman Kugler came upon a despondent male on the Lorraine Avenue Bridge, and they were able to avert anything much more serious happening to that individual that evening. So I just want to compliment them for their kindness to that gentleman who was in the accident, and also the kindness that they showed to this individual on the bridge. So kudos to them, and job well done. Just want to let council know and the public know that the building department is going to be starting some apartment inspections, as well as some property maintenance inspections as well. I know that individuals will be out now that the weather is breaking, working on their yards, and we appreciate that, and just give everybody a little bit of time to catch up with some of the things they may have to do from over the winter. At the senior life department, on April 22nd, we're going to have a little reunion concert with Jeff Varga. Jeff played for the senior center in the fall at Bain Pavilion. It was like one of our first outings after COVID kicked in. It was a beautiful fall day, and he's going to be back around noon on April 22nd at Bolkin Park. As we have more details, we will pass that on to you, but Jeff does a really nice job, and he reached out to Director Brandos to see if we'd be interested in hosting him again. And he's involved in a local musician organization, and that that'll allow him to play for free, and it's so we appreciate his performance and his reaching out to our senior center. At the recreation department, basketball ended last week. I talked to Director Kemp, and he's going to be sending out a post-participation survey to the families that participated in basketball to get a sense of how things were handled. Going forward, he's going to be doing, the recreation department's going to be sending out these surveys to families and participants in programs at the Gemini Center and the Recreation Center. So hopefully that'll provide some information that'll be helpful on how they can improve on things or celebrate what they've done. We anticipate there'll be some other surveys here in the near future, of a more general nature regarding recreation and our parks, and we'll keep you posted on that. The spring registration for volleyball and soccer was very successful. We had 20% increase in registration over the 2019 figures, not last year's figures, but 2019 figures. We had a really big increase in youth soccer, so we're happy to see that. And you know, it's a good sign of number one, of the interest, number two, people feeling a little safer. Not that we're out of the woods, but I think everybody knows that you know, we've been very proactive in safety, and we will continue to do that. But we're happy to see this increase in registrations. Youth softball, baseball, and adult softball registrations are currently open. Summer camp and Safety Town registrations will be open in the near future. You know, as I mentioned earlier, people are going to get out in the park, in their yards working. The service department is going to be, you know, working on catching up on some cleanup in the parks. I know that there's a baseball game scheduled for March 22nd at Vulcan Park, so they're working on the fields now and this week and going forward. And we know there's a lot of demand just because it's spring, but also due to COVID for use in the parks. And we just, you know, just appreciate people's time, patience, and letting our service department get to that. The gyms reopened for drop-in play at the Gemini Center, and Director Kemp has advised that he's reviewing some other protocols and safety measures with respect to other openings at the Gemini Center, which we will be sharing with you and as those develop. On April 24th, the police department will be hosting in the parking lot of City Hall Operation Medicine Cabinet. People can bring in any prescription drugs to the police department. They'll be able to accept those and package them up and see that they're disposed of in a safe manner. We will be sharing that with additional information with you on that as well. I want to let people know that the service department was working on some repairs at the stadium last week to the turf. Happy that for that, and that there will be some, you know, other things that they'll be working on there. And we appreciate people's patience as those items are addressed. Because of the sensitive nature of the track and the field, sometimes those areas have to be closed in order to allow the equipment to be safely maneuvered onto the area where things are being worked on. We'll try to provide as much advance notice to people before that, but again, just realize that work is done to preserve the life of the facility, and we'll keep people posted. I'd like to thank Community Planner Jordan for successful grant applications. We received from the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District a grant of $5,858 for our shredding days and our calendar distribution. Our first shredding day will be Saturday, May 15th, and our second shredding day will be Saturday, September 18th. So we appreciate all of our planners' efforts in that. Additionally, Cuyahoga County Public Works has advised that we are the recipient of a grant of $24,066 for preventative maintenance that will be done on Eaton Road, Mastic Road, Story Road, and Wooster Road. These are like crack sealing and things of that nature. So when that time comes, we will provide people with the details so they can plan their routes accordingly. But I appreciate Community Planner Jordan's efforts, Director Costello, and City Engineer Kerber's efforts in working on this project and other projects here in town. And lastly, we were the recipients of a State of Ohio capital funds distribution of $50,000 relating to for Thomas Lane Pocket Park. That was something that we had was uncertain due to COVID and all of the questions as to the state budget, and it was awarded much later than normal. And so when we had not heard about it during the normal time frame, we weren't sure that it was something that was going to be received, but we did receive that, and we're going to be working on ways that we can incorporate those funds into that space. So we're happy to receive that. Grateful for the support of the state in that regard. And that concludes my report tonight. Council President Kilbane, thank you, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for that report, Mayor Cooney. And thank you to the Hvac attack. Thanks to both those officers for being excellent and compassionate public servants.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Okay, Director of Public Service and Development, Costello.
Thank you, Council President Kilbane. Also would like to build on what the mayor had mentioned about the turf. Just a thank you to our service personnel who made those repairs, and thank you for everyone's patience as the turf company will be coming back to not only repair where we worked, but make other adjustments to the turf as part of their maintenance. And also thank you to City Council for passing the sewer jet legislation. I appreciate that as well. And I'm sure Ms. Kerber will add to these comments, but thank you also for consideration and passage for the engineering for the West 227 Bridge rebuild. That's an exciting project. I was notified by Dominion today that sidewalk replacements will begin next week. So that temporary concrete that was put in for the sidewalks will begin on the west side of the street, so along the southbound lane. And pavement for the road itself, where work was done, will begin the week of April 5th. And of course, all of this work is as weather allows. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Costello. Finance Director Singal.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, to all members of council. Good evening. Just one item tonight. The administration thanks City Council for approving the items on third read tonight, mainly Ordinance 2112, the 2021 appropriation ordinance. As usual, it was a very thorough process, and we thank council for your approval this evening. And that concludes my report. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Director Singal. Law Director Riley.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. City Engineer Kerber.
Thank you, Council President Kilbane. I would like to report tonight that the bids for the West 210th resurfacing will be opened on next Monday, the 22nd of March. And then after that, we'll be working with the ODOT to get the project awarded. We will be submitting plans to CWD in the next 2 weeks for the Cromwell Parkwood Bean Park Waterline project. And as Mary Kay said, yes, I do also want to say thank you for passing the 227th Street Bridge replacement project. And we look forward to getting started on that project also. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Kerber. It is now time for the public session. Clerk Westbrooks, have we been contacted by anyone who would like to speak to council and the administration this evening, or is there anyone on the line that would like to talk?
Liz, you're muted.
I did not receive any requests for public comment, no.
All right, thanks, Liz. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll have miscellaneous business and comments by members of council. Councilman Simmerly.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. No Planning and Zoning Commission meeting this month. The Board of Control met this evening at 6:30 via Zoom to discuss two issues. Custom truck, one source. The city rented a tree truck for service department usage on October 12, 2020 for $5,487. The original rental time of 2 months was extended 3 additional weeks as weather allowed for extra work until the beginning of December 2020. Rental fees were $3,384.62 for a total of $8,871.62. This total did not include a week of rental and environmental fees. The total rental was $13,121.62. A motion to pay the $13,121.62 was approved 5-0. Atlantic Emergency Solutions, 21 pairs of new firefighter boots were purchased for $8,715. A motion to pay the $8,715 was approved 5-0. This completes my Board of Control report and comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Minnick. Councilwoman Adler?
Yes, I'd like to direct an inquiry to Director Costello, please.
Dr.
Yes,
Costello?
Director Costello, I was just curious, I noticed on Lorraine, the stretch right by 214, where Pat's New Style and an attorney's office was, are getting, I don't know if it's a facelift to the building in addition to having new businesses come in, or are they merely doing a facelift to attract new business? Do you have anything to report with regard to that stretch of buildings?
Yes, thank you. I'm sure that Mayor Cooney could add to this as he sits on the Planning Commission board that reviewed the project, but they are new spaces. So it's not just a new fascia that'll be added, but there's new interior work being designed. I have not yet heard of any certificate of occupancies for any specific buildings. I've not been contacted by anybody to inquire about leasing there. I would imagine that there's a few more months of work to be done, but I will make some inquiries and I can report back.
Okay, thank you very much. It's always exciting to hear if there's any new businesses coming in. So
It is.
Maureen, if I may,
Yes.
that property was purchased by former Councilman Russo. And he's combining the two buildings to make it 2 large businesses. And they are in the process right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing that, Councilman Minnick. And thank you, Mary Kay. That is all.
Councilwoman Adler? Councilwoman Waring?
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to share this evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman King?
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 things tonight. First, tonight we passed the budget, the 2021 budget, and this is a big undertaking as it is every year. And I just wanted to thank Director Single and his staff for getting all this information out to us and putting it all together. I want to thank the mayor and all the directors for putting together presentations that highlighted 2020. They highlighted their obstacles that they had overcome due to COVID and all of their accomplishments. And they put together a wonderful presentation of what we have to look forward to in 2021 and in the future. I'd like to thank council for giving up their Saturdays and extra long Monday to go through all of this. And the clerk of council, Ms. Westbrooks, for setting up the Zoom and for running the presentation for us. And the budget is done. Then my second point is last year on February 17, 2020, this council passed a resolution 2003, declaring March as Women's History Month. That resolution also recognized Josephine Irwin, the first woman to serve on Fairview Park City Council. On February 3rd, 2020, this council also passed a resolution 2002, recognizing Mayor Patton's 26 years of service to the community. Tonight, in the spirit of Women's History Month, I would like to recognize former Councilwoman Peggy Cleary. Peggy served on Fairview Park City Council for 13 years, and during that time, she was on 3 standing committees and the chair of the Finance Committee. When she resigned in 2018, she was the only female sitting on council at that time. She has sponsored and supported legislation that reduced city expenses and supported economic development. She's a graduate of Kent State University and a licensed social worker who has had a long history of community and civic involvement. And I just wanted to thank Peggy for her tireless work and strong leadership in Fairview Park. And that's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman King, and thank you for recognizing my dearest friend on the planet, one of the smartest and most compassionate people I've ever met. Councilwoman Peggy Cleary. Hey, Councilman Berger.
Yeah, just two quick things. First, a note, it's good to hear Jeff Varga's still around. I haven't heard that name since I was washing dishes at Stampers. So he was a regular entertainer at Stampers Bar and Grill when it was here. So it's good to hear he's still around. And then the only other thing I'd like to recognize, Fairview High School wrestler Jack Elmore. He placed 6th at the state tournament this past weekend.
Wow.
It's a very big achievement, and so congratulations to him and the wrestling team. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the chair is going to assign the topic of AV and security updates of the council chambers to the finance committee. And that I'd just like to wish you all a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day. And there being nothing else to come before this council this evening, the chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Council is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
Have-